So there's a really great documentary that was on HBO about John McCain. John McCain was a very famous American senator. He had run for president. He passed away a couple of years ago. But John McCain's story in Vietnam, it's almost not believable because of how intense it was. So he was a pilot in Vietnam and he started out in Operation Rolling Thunder. He ends up becoming a lieutenant commander. Um, he, in 1967, was in a bombing mission over North Vietnam where his Skyhawk gets shot down by a missile over Hanoi. So he's in enemy territory. Well, he was ejecting from his aircraft over a lake to be safe. He fractured both arms and a leg while ejecting from the aircraft. And he parachutes into this lake and he nearly drowns, but some North Vietnamese pull him ashore. Then, after they pull him ashore, they crush his shoulder with the butt of the rifle and they bayonet him. They take him to the Hanoi Hilton, which the Hanoi Hilton was a POW camp. So that's where they keep these American prisoners of war. And initially the captors, they had refused to treat his injuries and like they're beating him, they're interrogating him to try to get information. But they eventually find out that his father was a top admiral. So they start to give him medical care. And then they eventually transfer him out of the Hanoi Hilton. And for 2 years, he is in solitary confinement. 2 years. Well, they were going to give him like early release. They were going to release him because they wanted to show the rest of the world, the Vietnamese, North Vietnamese, that they were merciful, that they were kind, that they were good people. But John McCain refused. He said the only way he would be released is if all other POWs that came before him would be released as well. So since he turned down the offer, the North Vietnamese were extremely upset and frustrated with him. And they started a program, this was in like late 1968, of severe torture, like rope bindings, beatings. He had dysentery, wouldn't let him sleep. He, at one point, tried to attempt suicide, but guards stopped him. One of his greatest regret in Vietnam is he reached his breaking point, and he said, like, this was his breaking point, is he made an anti-American confession saying that he didn't agree with what the United States was doing. Now, he didn't actually believe that. And like he said, he reached his breaking point. Ultimately, though, when the war ends, 1973, he was released. And his injuries, I know you guys are all too young, but I remember when he was like campaigning for president, you would see him like wave to the crowd, wave to the audience. He couldn't lift his arms over his head because of all the torture that he had gone through. So like when you'd see him wave, it would be just kind of like a half wave up, toward his like chest belly button area. So John McCain, very honorable how he served our country and survived years of torture in Vietnam.